we got to talk about Roger Jackson, the son of Rampage Jackson, his incident. I did a live about it yesterday. Tried to do some get on earlier. Was having all kind of issues, but we here now, and we're gonna talk about it. Talk about it. Those of you who do not know what's going on, Clinton Rampage Jackson's son, Roger Jackson, went to a pro wrestling show and things did not go good at all. I know he was training or working out with this guy earlier in the week. Guy's a wrestler. He was going to the event, check him out, enjoy the show, chop it up with him. But things quickly, and I mean quickly, got out of hand. I'm gonna try to use the green screen on here, but we're gonna see how this works as I'm about to prop it up, and we're gonna talk about it and go through some stuff. All right, we here, we see Roger Jackson. He gets there, and the lead up to it, I feel like he's actually excited to see the show and to see what happens. You know, he gets back there, you know, dapping it up. Everything's cool. Everything's fine. But then, and the thing about Roger is now a streamer on Kick, one of IRL streamers. So he's getting everything going with that, trying to build that up. You know, streaming ain't easy. So he's there, him and his cameraman, Lloyd, one of Rampage's friends. So they're there, ain't no filming. Gets to the back. Yo, AJ. I mean, he knows AJ because training and all that stuff. So he's with AJ, and he gets to the back. The thing about these streamers, and they have to understand this, they become targets when people see them with cameras because people are dumb. So when people see a camera, they're like, ooh, I want to be the camera. And they do things they normally wouldn't do. I personally like Rampage streams, his ad. And Rampage kind of talks about it. A lot of these people come up to him and they want a picture or whatever. They don't even know who Rampage is sometimes. Like most of the guys do, but a lot of the women don't know who Rampage is, but they see the camera. They're like, you must be somebody because you got a cameraman with you. That camera brings attention that's a lot of times you don't want to have. And that's what happened in this situation. But there's a lot of people to blame. End of the day, I will blame Roger. He has to be blamed because he took it too far. And 100%, I'm not condoning his actions. But what I will say is this. How did we get to the point that he gets into that ring and is able to do that? That's where I have an issue. That's why I think people need to be held accountable. I guess he needs to be held accountable, but everybody else does either. So, I'm going to go through this real fast. And I'm gonna say this now. A lot of people are like calling, saying how bad of a dad Rampage Jackson is. So these guys, they live in LA, in California. Rampage was in New York. Rampage was not there. And I truly feel like if Rampage was there, none of this actually happens because Rampage would have told his son to not do this. That's what I truly believe it would have happened. But Rampage was in New York because his daughter, y'all see his daughter, right? Actually is going to school in New York. So Rampage, being the dad, is in New York with his daughter, getting her together for college. So for everybody who keeps calling Rampage this horrible, horrible dad, y'all need to know the full entire story. Because you all really truly don't. This guy here, because the whole time Rampage was basically like everything will be cool because his trainer AJ and the cameraman Lloyd, who he trusts as a trainer, not gonna let Roger get into a bad situation, especially because they already know that earlier in the week, Roger basically got a concussion. Also, a lot of that, the concussion, had to do with the training partner who should not have done that kick. But Roger had the film crew there. He was filming it, and a lot of times, in those moments when people are sparring, they want to show out. Roger has a name, being the son of Rampage Jackson's son. You're like, man, this is my shot. This is my big moment. I'm going to knock him out. And he proceeded to try to do that. Even like Rampage said, like, if they were the same size, he probably would have knocked Roger out because it was pretty close. So he's dealing with all of that. This guy knows all of this. They bring him back here. And then Stu, for absolutely no reason, starts talking trash as he sees the camera, grabs the can, and smashes it on Roger's head. And I hear people saying, oh, that can wasn't. No, it does not matter if the can hurt or not. If you're just out in your everyday life and some random person you do not know at all just goes and or pushes you or do anything, most people aren't going to sit back and be like, okay, buddy. Nah, they're going to be like, we gotta do something. So that to me was a natural reaction of him being mad in that moment. Because, hey, I'm not a wrestler, and somebody actually tells Stu, hey, he's not a wrestler. That should have been the end of it. And I believe Stu, once he realized that, did feel bad. I do believe that. But at that point, the damage had already been done. So you already got someone like Roger who always feeling disrespected because this training partner earlier in the week did him dirty. And the fact that he's Rampage's son, so he know people think that he has to be this big tough guy, and people keep trying him. You know that keeps going through your head, and he's already dealing with a concussion as it is, so he's already not in the right mental capacity. He daps it up with him, but in his mind he's like, Man, I'm still pissed off at this. What I wish he had done at this moment, I wish he had, when he pushed him, started throwing punches then. Because what would have happened had Roger fought him backstage in this moment, nothing else ever happens. If he hits him there's enough guys back there. They break it up. Roger leaves, goes home. He's mad, but nothing bad happens to anybody. That's what should have happened. Roger and them should have never stayed. They should have left. And part of the blame of this, I put on AJ and I put on the other guys in the back because they immediately decided to turn this into an angle. He's like, man, you messed up, blah, blah, blah. We gonna let you get your get back. So if they dapped up and everybody's cool, what's the need of him getting his get back if everything is cool? Well, apparently everything clearly wasn't cool. Because Roger, obviously, I don't know how anybody could tell he wasn't pissed off, because he clearly still was, and I understand that. So you got Roger still mad, them saying, hey, you can get your get back, you can give him a receipt. You know what a receipt is, right? Clearly he does not understand the situation. So for these people to put him out there without him fully knowing what's going on, set him up for failure. Like, he should not even be back there. He should be gone. Him and Lord, the cameraman, should have been getting in the car leaving. This situation should have been done and over with. But the wrestlers kept it going. Oh, we got to make something out of this. Dude's not a wrestler. Has not trained or anything. But y'all want to keep it going. And they was like, and they basically came up with a plan for him to get his get back. And that's when everything went to complete and utter crap. But it did not have to get complete crap. Had the guy never went up to him. His coach, who is one of the wrestlers, egged him on the way he did. The other guy immediately sees who's out there, goes and says, everything's cool, let's turn it into an angle to make money. Roger was not there for that. But those guys' mindset was, oh, we can get viral. We can go viral. We can have ourselves a moment. And we can make some more money. That's what their thought process was. And it was absolutely the wrong mindset to have in this situation. So what we end up getting is they come up with what they're going to do. Roger's going to go in. They basically tell him about the get back and what they expect. And we're going to give him this chance to beat him a little bit. Have done it, but straight up tell him, look, we're going to let you get in the ring. This is what we want you to do. Not go for a slam. Go for a nice little easy takedown. Maybe try to get one slap or punch in. Then, once we see you do that, we're going to immediately rush and get you off of them and pull you apart. You're going to get out the ring and you all are going to haul tail out of the arena and leave. That's going to be the end of it. And we're going to have the people wanting more. If you're going to do this stupid angle, that's the way you should have done it. And make sure he 100% knew what was going on. Because clearly he didn't. He was under the impression that he could. Kevin says hello. Katie Nature says this stuff was so distasteful. I saw the video. Absolutely. Like I said, I'm not defending the punches. I'm not defending what Roger Jackson did. What I am saying is we have to look at this whole entire situation because everybody's saying how bad of a human he is. I'm not even disputing that. I'm not disputing anything bad people want to say about him. I'm just saying it's so much more to this that people aren't talking about and that we need to talk about. Katie Nation says, I'm appalled. Like he's saying, I'm appalled they allowed this to happen. Yes, and that's kind of my point here. It should have never gotten to this point. The fact that when he just pulled up, just ready to watch some wrestling, and it leads to this at the end. What all happened in that time period with him getting there to him leaving that could have been prevented? And hopefully next time this will never happen to someone else, where you have wrestlers honestly going into business on their own, which led into something else, which led to somebody else going into business on his own against the wrestlers. So everybody went into business for themselves. Stu went into business for himself. He did. I know y'all don't want to hear it, but he did. He saw the camera. He saw Roger. He thought this was my moment. He took advantage of the situation. Roger took advantage of the situation of being able to get close to him and fighting him. And it was bad on both sides, in my opinion. Obviously, like I said, I'm not defending Roger. It's just that this was just horrible. So we keep this thing going, and then at this time, people get, Rampage doesn't really know what's going on. Rampage like to joke about with his son. He's like, I can joke about my son, but you all can't. Rampage didn't know the full story. Rampage wasn't there. Remember, Rampage is in New York. So it's like, what's going on? Rampage is like he didn't joke around. He didn't think it was that serious. For real. He didn't think it was going to get to that far. He just joking around with his son. Now, but he didn't realize that his son was still mad about it. So his phone call didn't help. But then his chat wasn't good either. His chat was still egging it on, which is not good. Like, had this been like a Rampage Jackson chat, his chat would not have been egging it on. Because Rampage chat doesn't really, they troll Rampage, but they don't want, but if something happens, they always have Rampage back. They always have Rampage's, best interest. Because that's the difference between, like Rampage chat has a lot of trolls, but Rampage chat also has a lot of older people who normally wouldn't be on Kick and all these different places watching them because they respect Rampage as a fighter over the years, so they check him out, and it's just a cool thing to be a part of. Roger, I think, is starting to get a lot of the young ones, and he's getting the young people, and he gets a lot of trolls. I mean, Rampage gets the trolls too, but Rampage has more of a balance of legit fans and trolls. Roger just has a bunch of trolls that don't understand. Like Rampage fans understand moments. Like this is not a moment to troll. This is a moment to support him and to make him boost him up so he doesn't do something stupid. Roger fans is troll to the point where they're like, we don't know any better. We just want to see him do stupid stuff. And that's part of the difference. You got to make sure your fan base don't just encourage you to do stupid stuff. And that's what his fans did to Roger. And Roger was feeding into it 50 subs to do it, this stupidity. Like he was, at that point, he was not in the correct frame of mind. I wish the cameraman hearing this would have hit him on the shoulder and be like, hey bro, don't do anything crazy. I know you're getting worked up, but don't do anything too crazy. Just have fun with it. I wish he had done that, but I understand why he didn't do that. But I wish he had have done that. I think he should have been, this man, he's a grown adult as well, older guy. He low-key should have stopped it himself, the cameraman. In the very beginning, he should have been like, man, Roger, like when the guys were saying, let's turn this into something, he should have been like, because he knows Roger, and he knows everything he's been through. He should have been like, hey dog, I don't think we should do this. You had your concussion. You're not feeling too great. You shouldn't be doing anything physical. Your dad doesn't want you to do anything physical. Let's get up on out of here and go eat or do something else. He should have done that. He should have stepped up as a man and told him to get up. Let's just go ahead and leave. And we see what happened. So Roger gets into the ring. He's on a mission. And they tell him to go, by the way. He doesn't just get in there by himself. They tell him when to go. So Stu knows something is coming. He didn't surprise Stu. Stu knew something was going to happen. I think Stu thought it was going to be a takedown or something like that, which would make a lot more sense for him to do a takedown. Because Roger going for the slam makes 0 sense. That slam is dangerous. Him hitting the Rampage slam shows you his strength. Even though Stu was helping him, but overall it does show you the strength of Roger to do that. Roger gets him up. And he puts him down. And you knew he was in trouble. Especially when you break it. When you break it down. Kid, you messed up. But you knew he was in trouble because the force he had, you could tell when he put him down, it was going to be a lot. And it was a lot. Then Roger goes and basically starts punching him, getting them out. Starts punching him, and boom, 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 and hits him around 22 times. And this is where I put all the blame on Roger. Once he gets into the ring, all the blame is on him. But like I was saying, he should have never gotten to that point. But once he got to that point, this is where I completely 100% blame him. I blame him for everything else as well, but other people kind of helped egg this situation along further than it should have been. So Roger gets him down and starts punching him. I don't understand why the referee, and Roger should have stopped when he slammed him. If it's too late, but at least Roger could say it was an accident, even though he kind of said on the stream that he was going to try to punch him as many times as possible. That's part of the reason why I said Lord, the cameraman, should have been, whoa, no, don't really do that. That's not a good look. That's not smart. But he did it, And he was a man of his word in that moment. He got on top of him and he started going. I don't get why the referee didn't try to stop him. The one first wrestler who got in the ring couldn't get him off. I'm like, that was kind of weak. Eventually, they all was able to get him off, and he was mad in that moment, and they were going back and forth. It was tough, man, tough to watch. They got him out. He's leaving. He's mad. He got blood on him, and he's yelling and stuff. And then his coach calls him. They're like, man, what was that? Like, no coach. No coach. You don't get to say, what was that? When you were one of the main people who put him in the stupid situation to begin with. And at this moment, he's all over the place. He's out of his mind. So whatever he says at this point, it is what it is. He's out of his mind. That coach, all mad at him, oh, you went for the, you did this. I'm like, yeah, y'all definitely should have never put him in a situation. Y'all should have told him to leave. Then you got some people now like Chris Masters. Hey, he should never be allowed to a pro wrestling event again. Man, shut up and do some illegal substances. Go on. That's obviously he shouldn't go to a pro wrestling event again. That's obvious. That's the least of the concern is him going to another pro wrestling event. Come on, man. What you thinking? But yeah, man, Raja, he truly messed up. And I hope Stu recovers. It looks like he's awake now. Hopefully he recovers and gets better. But it was rough, man. Hopefully they can. And it looks like the police have gotten involved. They got called, and I think they wanted to keep Roger there just so they could get the police to come and arrest him. And then they wanted him to arrest him, but they left, so that didn't happen. And they got him out of there. The police are not involved. I do expect him to get arrested. Part of me think that he won't actually do any jail time. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I truly believe that. Because he was filming it, I think Rampage and his family will hire a good enough lawyer that can take some of that footage. And there's a lot of bad footage. Most of it's bad. But the backstage part with AJ, who kind of said, hey, this is your chance to beat him up. Now, it's different levels of beating up. AJ, when he said that, obviously didn't think he was going to hit him 22 times in a row. He didn't think that. But the fact that you thought that him hitting him at all was a good idea, that's on you. I know he didn't think it was going to be 22. So he didn't think it was going to get as bad as it did. Roger completely snapped. Roger was in that moment of, man, I got head kicked. I got this guy coming up to me for no reason at all. I got my chat egging me on. I got the pressures of trying to be a fighter. And my dad is Rampage Jackson, so I'm always going to have a target on my back anyway. People don't think that I'm good enough. All of that emotion came out, and I really, truly hate that for him, because I don't truly think he's a horrible person. I think he made a horrible mistake, and he needs a lot of anger issues to deal with his pain, which is something that we don't normally take care of. But yeah, guys, this was my take on the Roger Jackson situation at the pro wrestling event when he took out Stu. Let me know y'all thoughts about this, and I'll be back soon enough to talk about some more.